Welcome back to Hypno Lions Roar, the podcast with teeth. I am Wayne Walker. I am your host. Today we are going to discuss a couple of interesting subjects. The first one being very interesting, and it is prayer, meditation, and hypnosis, and why they are the same, but yet why they're different, based on intent, and why each of the prayer, meditation, and hypnosis must be treated differently because of intent. The second topic that we're going to discuss a little bit later is going to be historical perspectives on all meat diets, where it came from, why, and how we're supposed to eat, and some of the data. But we're just going to scratch the surface on some of that. But let's get back to the prayer, meditation, and hypnosis. Prayer, meditation, and hypnosis are practices that involve altered states of consciousness. I want you to think about that for just a minute. Altered states of consciousness. And they can overlap aspects. They can have overlapping aspects. However, there are distinct differences between them. So let's kind of explore the differences. But before we do that, I want you to understand the wording that I'm going to use. Okay? When a person prays, you hear the term go into prayer. When you hear the term meditation, they are going to go into meditation, a meditative state. When you talk to a hypnotist or go into hypnosis, all three of those types of modalities, if you will, for lack of a better word, prayer, meditation, and hypnosis, are destinations. They are things that you go into. And when you go into them, you're going into the same place, which is the subconscious mind. There's not a different place for hypnosis, and then another place for meditation, and then finally the other place for prayer. It's all the same location. It's all the same place that you're going into. The difference is intent. What are your intentions when you go into prayer, into meditative state, into hypnosis? What is the intent? And that is the key right there. Prayer is typically associated with religious or spiritual practices. Involves communicating with a higher power or deity, expressing gratitude, making requests, seeking guidance. And I'm talking about prayer in a very benign way. All right. I myself am a Christian. I have a certain view of what prayer is and what it's not. Prayer is often seen as a form of talking to God. It can be a way to connect with one's own belief, find solace, seek support. Prayer is considered a form of communication where individuals express their thoughts, emotion, desires to a higher power. Okay, now let's stay on prayer for a second. There's a lot of people who pray. And when I work with clients, one of the questions that I have for my clients is, what is your spiritual belief system? Okay. I don't ask them their religion. I don't ask them, what their religion is in terms of Baptist or Protestant or whatever the case may be, because I view religion as an umbrella, meaning that if I'm a Baptist or a Catholic, I'm standing under the umbrella of being a Baptist or Catholic. Hopefully, all of those religions are Bible-based, okay? Because that is Christianity. So when I ask a person what their spiritual belief system is, I'm looking for three answers, or I'm asking three questions within that question. One is, do you believe in God? Do you believe Jesus Christ is the Son of God and he died for our sins? And 3, do you believe in angels? Very simple. Okay. They answer that, then I kind of get on a very good idea of what their spiritual belief system is. However, if they say, well, I'm agnostic, I'm an atheist of this, whatever the case may be, and I don't have a dog in this fight. I don't judge. I just need to know. So when I'm working with them, if I'm dealing with an agnostic, I'm not talking to them or from a perspective of talking to a higher power. All right. So I have to operate within their perception of their reality. So that's how I work with that with clients in that realm, if you will. The other thing is that a lot of times when people pray, it's like they sit there, they ask for God help me with this and blah, 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 and go on in this direction, and it's a very surfacey type of communication. Now, I'm not saying that that's not right. I'm not saying it's wrong. But I am saying that there's a deeper level of prayer. And it's a prayer that you go into. Not like you're sitting down to dinner and praying, saying grace over your food and appreciation for the abundance and so on and so forth. But there is a deeper level of prayer. And that's something that I'll be talking about in a later episode. Now, meditation is a practice that aims to cultivate mindfulness, awareness, inner calm. It involves focusing the mind, redirecting thoughts, achieving a state of mental clarity and relaxation. It often emphasizes being present in the moment, observing thoughts without judgment. It just is. The goal of meditation is to quiet the mind, reduce stress, and help enhance self-awareness, and promote overall well-being. Okay. It can be practiced in various forms, such as mindfulness meditation, loving kindness meditation, transcendental meditation. And it's a state that you go into. And I've had people contact me about meditation. And what they contact me about is they will tell, typically it works like this. They'll call me up and say, hey, I meditate, but I've never believed that I've been able to achieve a meditative state. I don't know whether I'm this or I don't seem to, I can go into meditation, even though I'm following instructions that I've been given. And there's a reason for that. Just like there's a reason for prayer, not being able to go into prayer because your thoughts get sidetracked, or you're going into prayer, or you're saying your prayer and you're thinking about, did I leave the door open at the office today? Or did I lock it? Did I let the dog, did I turn the iron off? While you're trying to focus on. So it's a very jumbled process. Okay. Now, finally, hypnosis. Hypnosis is a state of focused attention, heightened suggestibility. Keyword in suggestibility. Involves inducing a trance-like state to access the subconscious mind, meaning that you're opening up the subconscious mind to access the subconscious mind. It's the veil that's protecting it, the conscious veil, and we want to raise that veil up. Hypnosis is often used for therapeutic purposes, such as overcoming phobias, managing pain, changing unwanted habits, and so on and so forth. Pretty much hypnosis can be used for anything that you can imagine, because you're getting into the subconscious mind and you're making those changes. During hypnosis, individuals are guided by a hypnotherapist or through self-hypnosis techniques to access their subconscious mind and make desired changes. It's important to note that hypnosis requires an active participation and cooperation of the individual being hypnotized, because when you are hypnotized, if you've listened to other episodes of this podcast, hypnosis is nothing that a hypnotherapist or hypnotist does to you. It's something that you allow, that they lead you into. Okay? And there are those two words again, into prayer, into meditation, into hypnosis. Okay. Now, there's some similarities that overlap between these three things, such as relaxation, altered states of consciousness, the intentions. There's the word we're talking about. Methods differ. Prayer involves communications with the higher power. Meditative focus or mindfulness, inner calm, and hypnosis aims to access the subconscious mind for therapeutic purposes, which means that changing the programming of the subconscious mind, and changing the programming can mean a lot of different things, and it may mean certain things here but not mean certain things there. Okay. Now, prayer, meditation, and hypnosis are distinct practices with different purposes and methods. Prayer involves communication with a higher power. Meditation focuses on mindfulness, inner calm. Hypnosis aims to access the subconscious mind for therapeutic purposes. However, there may be some overlapping in terms of the altered states of consciousness, the intentions and techniques used in each of these, in each practice sets them apart. Okay, so I'm going to submit to you that if, and I have worked with clients with this very thing, when a client allows a hypnotist or a hypnotherapist to hypnotize them and lead them down into that hypnosis, into that depth, okay? Because in hypnosis, we want to go deep into hypnosis, and essentially what that means is allowing the conscious mind to go deeper and deeper to where it pops out and says, you know what, I'm going to go take a walk around the block. You guys do what you want here. I'm out of here. And at that point, that's where the subconscious mind is opened up. Now, when a person goes into hypnosis, one end of the spectrum, they could be hypersensitive and hear everything, remember everything. They can hear, excuse the expression, they could hear a gnat fart because they're hypersensitive. Okay. Or the other side of the pendulum on that is they don't remember anything. That they're so deep is they do become completely detached. Their consciousness becomes completely detached, and they go into hypnosis, they come out, and they don't remember a thing. Or it's somewhere in between, which is usually the case. Okay. But here's the thing. When you go into hypnosis and you understand what hypnosis is, and you go to that level of depth, the subconscious mind enjoys that. I don't know why, but it enjoys it. And each time that you are hypnotized or you're led into hypnosis by the hypnotist, it becomes easier and easier and easier. It becomes more quickly. For example, if I'm working with a client for the first time, I pretty much have the same session for every client the first time. And that is getting them into hypnosis down to a level of depth that I want to work with them. And some people, they go easy. Some people, it takes a little bit longer, but they do get there. Okay. And then once they're there, I do certain things on that first session and be able to wipe out, not wipe out is not a good word to use, but able to release the negative things that people drag with them from childhood, traumas, fears, angers, jealousies, and release those things, because those things are all attached, or they are imprints into the subconscious mind, and then there becomes instructions for the subconscious mind to follow, and it brings it to the conscious mind to make decisions. Okay, so, but when you go into hypnosis and you do that multiple times, so for example, the first session, I may spend 30 minutes getting the person to the point to where I want them to go. Can I do it quicker? Yes. I can do a speed induction and have them into hypnosis. But I find, and this is my own personal opinion, this is the way that I like to do it, because I have the success with it. Okay. I like to take a little bit slower time so the person relaxes more and they enjoy the journey. And along the way, I can create some conflicts to drive them deeper and deeper into hypnosis, into that state. Now, the first session, I may spend 30 minutes getting them into that state, but I precondition them to go into hypnosis the next time that we meet. And I use words and I use sounds. So the next session, it may take me 15 minutes to get them into hypnosis. The next session after that, it may take me 5 minutes. Next session after that, a matter of a couple of minutes, and then we're off. So as a result, the sessions in terms of a therapy session, if you will, get shorter and shorter and shorter, to where at its shortest, a therapy session could last 15 minutes because they're in hypnosis and we're getting right to work in terms of what needs to be addressed. And it's different. Each session is different because it builds upon each other. Okay, it reinforces, one session reinforces the next, and so on and so forth. And then there's a time factor between them. Okay, so the first 3 sessions I may do within 4 days of each other or 3 days of each other. And then after that, I may go a week or week and a half, because the distance between each session, then it gives the subconscious mind time to reacclimate itself, to work, to get stronger and implement the changes that they want. They may not even know that these changes are occurring. Most of the time they don't. Okay, but they are. But they are. So, so if a person goes into hypnosis and they understand what hypnosis is, and then they have that yardstick to measure it by, because it's a known at that point, I can very easily teach them how to meditate, because they're accessing the same place. They're going to the same place, the subconscious mind. I can also share with them how to vastly improve their prayer life, because they're going into the same place. It's the intent. Okay. Now, in hypnosis, if a person wants to connect with the higher self, i.e., the higher deity, God, to be able to open themselves up, we can do that. It's nothing that I do. I just lead them to that, and then they make the connection. I don't make that connection. They make that connection. And then all of a sudden, their prayer life changes. It becomes more personal. It becomes more connected. And when a person gets to that point, just like in hypnosis, okay, when a person goes into hypnosis and I bring them out of hypnosis, one of the questions I ask them, I said, you did a great job. How long do you think that was? And a lot of people go, I don't know, 15 minutes maybe. And it's 45 minutes later or an hour later. So there's a time distortion. So when you go into prayer, you can have that same time distortion because you're in prayer. Because as soon as you start the process of prayer, the subconscious mind goes, oh, I know what you want. And it drops you down into that depth. And you're deep in prayer. And you could be there for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, whatever the case may be. And when you come out of prayer, you have no idea how long it actually was. So the value of hypnosis is there's a lot of value in it in terms of how it connects to other things in one's life based on what they want. Okay. Hypnosis is a natural thing that we have experienced for hundreds, thousands of years. Okay. There's documentation from in the ancient Egypt where they had sleep rooms where people would go into these rooms and they would go into a hypnotic state. The American Indians had the what do they call them, the prayer huts, or where they go into and they do their rituals with fire and so on and so forth. If you stop and if you think about it, if you've ever had sat in front of a fireplace and just watched the flames, and all of a sudden you get locked in on the flames, you can drop yourself into hypnosis very easily by watching those flames. Think about African tribes around a fire, the beat of the drums, the dancing, the monotonous tone, the chants. All of those things elicit an altered state, and it drops down, and you will drop down into that altered state. Visions. People have visions. There's so many connections to hypnosis that we really don't, that our life is full of hypnosis and you don't even realize it. In a later episode, I will show you how hypnosis has influenced politicians, preachers, pastors, priests, churches, advertising. It's all there. I will make those connections and I'll present them to you. So when you go out and you look around, you're going to be amazed at the connections that these things have to each other. Okay. So it's a matter of allowing yourself the benefit of experiencing hypnosis. And I know a lot of people, they think that that when they think about hypnosis, they think about the comedy stage shows, and that's hypnosis, but it's the intent. That's not the intent. It's not, the intent is not to make you act like a robot or be a great singer, or whatever the case may be, whatever the little skits that the stage hypnotist has people do. It's a lot deeper than that. It's a lot more valuable than that. And that's why hypnosis can allow changes to occur much more deeply, much more quickly than traditional therapy. Because see, as a hypnotist, when I work with people, I don't have to know all the details. I would prefer not. I tell my clients, look, kind of give me an overall view based on the paperwork they fill out. That's kind of like what I've got. But in terms of the details, they don't need to tell me, because people, their natural self, will hold details back for a variety of different reasons. It could be fear, it could be shame, it could be anger, it could be a lot of different things. But it doesn't matter what it is, because once a person goes into hypnosis and I start to work with them, the one person that they cannot fool or they cannot lie to is themselves. So once they're in that state of hypnosis and I'm giving the instructions to the subconscious mind and asking it to do this, but they have to give it permission, they get down to brass tacks. And you will see emotional releases. There will be physical releases. There will be abreactions. There will be a number of things that occur within the body and within the subconscious mind. Some people start laughing. Some people start smiling. Some people start crying. Some people have no reaction whatsoever. It just depends on the individual. Because hypnosis, when a person goes into hypnosis, it's all based on their an individual. There's no two people that react to hypnosis the same exact way. But the value in it that gives them permission to let this stuff go from the past. Because, see, history is history. There's nothing that you can do about history. People will always want to say, well, I want to go back and I want to discover why, blah, 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 blah in the past. And my response to that is why? Why would you spend the energy going back and trying to figure out why when you could turn around and face the future and move forward in the future and accomplish more of what you want to accomplish? You see, God put our eyes in the front of our head, not the back, for a reason. And that's to look to the future. We all have a history. We all have things that we've been through. We all have things that we wish didn't happen. But the fact is, they did. So what do you do with it? Well, you don't let it define you. You find a way to deal with it. And in our society, the way to deal with it is to go to a therapist, a talk therapist. And I've had clients come in and they've been going to a therapist for 10 years. And they're still not any further along. Because when you go to talk therapy and you're talking through that and you're regurgitating history, you're reliving history. Why would you do that yourself? There's no reason for it. There's no point. Focus on the future. Use hypnosis to allow those to cut the cords, those anchors. The visual that I give people is they're pulling an anchor. And that anchor has many chains attached to it. One chain is fear. One chain is shame. One chain is anger. One chain is this. One chain is that. And the more chains you put on it, the heavier that anchor gets to pull it forward. Okay? So you have to be very mindful of those things. And don't focus on the past. It serves no purpose except for, would you learn from it? What valuable lesson did you, because there's valuable lesson in everything that we go through. Although we went through it and we wished it didn't happen, it did. Welcome to life. I'm mindful of people's feelings and that, but at the same time, I want to move them forward. Now, here's the deal. I always tell my clients this. Look, let's get rid of this stuff. Let's get it moving forward to where it doesn't affect your everyday life, to where you don't have the anxiety and the depression and all these other different emotions going on with this. Let's get rid of the stuff that's causing this. Let's make that cut. And then when we get to the point to where it's no longer an issue, if you want to go back and explore the why, then we'll talk about it. And I have had exactly 0 people want to go back and explore that, because once they experience the freedom of letting that stuff go, they've got no desire to go back and wallow in the history of the why. So that's the value of hypnosis. Now, it can be argued that prayer can do the same exact thing. And it absolutely can, so long as you know how to pray. But if you're praying and you're asking the Almighty to relieve you of this and relieve you of this and relieve you of this, but you still have that connection to the past, there's nothing that's going to change. Okay? And the same thing with meditation, although it's a little different, okay? Because it's mindfulness. But anyway, so I hope I'm explaining it to where you can understand it, to where you're open to understanding what the possibilities of hypnosis and how it can spread in other parts of your life and make a tremendous impact. Okay? Because the key is to get a person to understand that they control only themselves Outside of themselves, you control nothing. So why try? You can't control other people. You can't control the traffic lights. You can't control the work that you do or where you're at in the office and that, because there's too many moving parts. You cannot control that. You control yourself. You control how you react to it. You control how you feel about it. But you have to understand how to get into that state to let it go. And that is where the strength, the inner strength, comes from. It gives you that ability to move on and to become self-centered, pull everything in. You become self-centered. Okay, a lot of times when people hear that word self-centered, it's a negative connotation. But if you listen to the two words, you're becoming self-centered, to where you're centering yourself and you're protecting yourself and not allowing all the peripheral nonsense and bullshit to affect you. Okay? And there's a lot of power in that when a person can get to that point and actually implement it. All right? So if you have any questions on this, in the notes, you'll be able to have my email. Send me an email. Make comments in the comment sections. I'll be happy to expand on it. Or if you have a criticism, let me hear it. If you have something positive to say, I'd like to hear that as well. But I would challenge you to think about the possibility of experiencing hypnosis. Okay, so let's move on to our next topic here: the carnivore, the historical perspective on all meat diets. My wife and I have been eating carnivore now for September, October, November, December, January, February, now March, almost 8 months, about 8 months. Okay, because we started about second week in September. Okay, she's down, I don't know, 35 pounds. I'm down up over 85 pounds now, and feeling much better, more energy, and so on and so forth, all from just an animal-based diet. If you go back in history and look at how we were supposed to eat, we were never supposed to eat a bunch of plants. Okay. Dr. Chafee, who is one of the doctors that I follow, has a YouTube video on how plants are trying to kill you. And I would encourage you to look that up. As a matter of fact, I'll put it in the show notes here for you to be able to click on that video and listen to what he's got to say. Dr. Chafee is a medical doctor, surgeon. He's got a completely different perspective on the plants and that. And as a result, being a carnivore, you don't eat vegetables or fruits anyway. Okay, because of the fiber, our body cannot break down fiber. That's why we have our bowel movements the way we do, or that we get clogged up. Okay, way back when we started eating, when God put animals on this planet, we were the top of the food chain. These animals were there for us to sustain ourselves, and they provide the perfect nutrients for us. You don't need extra vitamins, you don't need extra anything, as long as you have quality meat that you're eating. Eggs, dairy, sometimes cheese. I mean, it depends on people, how it affects them. But we were designed to eat meats, because think about it. And on the last episode, I told you about our farm here. Every cow on this planet eats grass. Every one of them. They do not eat pizza. The cows in India do not have a different diet than what the cows in the U.S. It's grass. Maybe different types of grass, but it's grass. And they pull out all the nutrients from that grass because of the number of stomachs that they have, the way that they digest it. they don't eat different things. And even if they're starving, they're not going to eat a pizza. Sorry, it's not going to happen. They're not going to eat meat. That's what they eat. When you get a bear, they're eating fish. And if you notice, bears, when they're getting ready to hibernate, when they eat fish, they pull the skin off of it, which is the high fat, high calorie. That's what they pack on their pounds. But very rarely do they finish the meat of the fish, based on what I know. Okay, I may be wrong in that, although there's an occasional tourist they may get a hold of that prove that different. I know that's a little bit cob, but anyway. So we're designed to eat meat because meat is the most nutrient dense sustenance for us, and that includes beef, ruminants, fish, pork, lamb. That's what we eat. And you will find that because you're providing the correct fuel for your body, the correct nutrients, that a lot of the things that people experience in terms of aches and pains and high blood pressure and being pre-diabetic and even diabetic and dementia and all of these other gout, all these other things all of a sudden start self-correcting themselves because you're putting in good fuel to allow the body to operate at optimum performance. That's what comes in. And when you give the body carbohydrates, you're clogging the system. You're not giving, when you give it processed carbohydrates and all the chemicals added on that, the body cannot absorb that. The body cannot process that. So we were designed to eat meat. Now, think about this for just a second. If you go to the grocery store and you go up and down all of the aisles and realize that about 90% of the food in that grocery store did not exist 100 years ago. Didn't exist. But it was manufactured in a chemical plant. And we were not designed to eat a bunch of chemicals. We can't process that stuff. Now, they say that, well, it's fortified with vitamins and all that. It may very well be. But it's not the vitamins and stuff that our body can absorb. So you can put all of the vitamins in there that you want and say it's in there, but the body's going to say, not the right format. Okay? Not the right format. Can't use it. So it tries to process it. It taxes the system and then gets rid of it through the stool. And has no value whatsoever. So I would challenge you that if you're having medical issues, if you're having problems with high blood pressure, if you're having problems with diabetes or that, explore the carnivore diet. Explore it for 30 days. 30 days. That's it. And see how you feel. And I'd be willing to bet that at the end of that 30 days, if you follow that way of eating, that not only you're going to feel better, you're going to look better. And you're going to start finding what your natural weight is. And that's without exercise. Okay. When our cows are out in the pasture, I have yet to go out to the pasture and watch or see my cows running around the pasture to get their laps in or to get their steps in. They're lazily eating grass, laying down, getting up, eating grass, laying down, getting up, and they put on weight naturally. All right. Now, when you have beef like that and you put them in a feedlot, they're being fed a lot of processed food that packs on the weight, which is not quality weight. But they don't care about quality weight. They care about the number of pounds. How many pounds does that cow have? Because they're going to make more money on a 1,500-pound cow than they will an 800-pound cow. but they're going to be completely different in terms of quality. Okay. So start looking at it from that perspective. All through history, it wasn't until the agricultural age that man started eating plants. And there are some reasons for that. Drought, the lack of ability to have access to meat. If you think about the Eskimos, they cannot grow vegetables up in the Arctic. They eat meat. And if you read about the Eskimos, they have no heart disease, they have no liver disease or anything like that. Their blood is perfect, and all they eat is meat. And all through history, eating meat. And those people, and again, Dr. Chafee has a video on going back to the history, and it goes through everything, all the details of that. And if you're interested in it, send me a message. I'll post the link to the YouTube video for you to watch and to learn, because these are rabbit holes that I've gone down and then some. I've watched hundreds of hours of these videos and educating myself on these videos and why that we should be eating this way. And to be honest with you, when I first started on this carnivore quest, if you will, I did it because my wife said, look, this is what we're going to do. I knew nothing about it. I knew it was meat, whatever. But 2 weeks later, after I had lost about 15 pounds and started feeling better, is when I started going down the rabbit holes of, there's something here. I've got to find out what's going on. Why? How does this work? Why does it? And I just surrounded myself with experts and listened, and I just followed the rules. Very simple. Okay. Now, does that mean that we are strict on this thing at all times? No. When we travel, we may have to go off of it, and that we know that. We do pay for it, because when you're eating clean, and then all of a sudden you put crap in your system for whatever reason, it doesn't matter, whether you're on a vacation or whether you're there and you can't eat you eat crap, trust me, you're gonna feel it. And then when you get home, you say, yep, I'm gonna do a fast for the next 3 days, and you get your system corrected and back in line. Okay. So there's room there for people to go off or not eat clean all the time. All right. When we have to go to the city next door to us, which is 30 minutes or even 40 minutes away, when we go there so infrequently, we'll go and have sushi. And again, with the rice, we try to limit we try to limit the amount of rice that we eat, but it's still carbohydrate. It screws our system up for a couple of days. But for sushi, I'm willing to go through that. So anyway, so that's the whole thing on the meat diets. Like I say, if you have any questions, please get back to me. I'd love to talk to you more about it. But just understand that we're animals, and we're at the top of the food chain. We were meant to eat meat. I've always wondered about artichokes. Who figured out how to eat artichokes? I mean, some things I just wonder why. Okay, and some of the problem is that we have stories, cartoons like The Lion King, that paints animals in a different light that's unrealistic. I mean, I've gotten to the point, if there's a movie and there's an animal talking in it, I got no interest in it. It's just goofy. But anyway, any questions, let me know. Get in contact with me. Like I said, I'd love to hear from you. And I will see you at the next episode. Be good, be real, and always make good choices. Have a blessed day.